The Flash Season 3, Episode 20, I Know Who You Are. So, of course, this is the episode everybody was waiting for, although technically so was the last episode, and then they kind of screwed us with that one. But this was a good episode. We get the reveal at the end. I think it was a good episode in general. It didn't really focus too much on the whole Savitar thing until it was literally like the end of the episode. I was hoping, I think like everybody, that it was going to kind of be a bigger part of the episode, maybe get a little explanation in this episode, but that was not the case. We start off with the end of the episode. That's how I knew it wasn't going to be till the very end, because it starts off with like a leap to the end of the episode where Barry's like, I know who you are, and then it jumps back like 16 hours, and I was like, oh, well, that just shows it's literally going to be like the end of the episode again. So I was like, well, that sucks, because that means we won't get that extra bit of information that I was kind of hoping for. But it was still a good episode. It mostly focuses really on the team actually finding this woman from the future that actually helped them stop Savitar. They're trying to find her in the past, and then the other side of the story is actually Joe and kind of his relationship and how he wants to try to protect the woman that he, ultimately he admits that he loves her by the end, but it's like he's trying to protect her, and he does it. He kind of does it honestly in the most generic TV way ever. That's what everybody does on like a superhero thing. It's like, I love you. Or even if it's not superhero, if it's anything crazy, it's like, I care about you, but of course that comes at the end of the episode. But in that middle section, when they have that first big conversation, it's like, it's not that I don't love you or anything. You didn't surprise me, but this part of my life is tough, and I don't want you to get hurt by it, so we need to break up. And admittedly, it shocked me in this episode, because especially the way he was talking, was like, it's not that I don't love you, especially considering it was such a big deal with being like, I love you. It was like, it was kind of easing her into like a false sense of security. It was like, it's not that I don't care about you, it's just that, this part of my life is really tough, and then that would make your life very tough. And she's like, well, we can kind of work through it and things like that. And it seemed like he was at least going down the route of, I love you too, or something like that. And I was thinking maybe he'd at least say that and then break up with her or something, and like say like, that's why I have to break up with you. But it was just like going through all this stuff. It's not that I don't love you, but we do have to break up. And I was like, oh, well, that's a twist. He seemed really calm, like he was not about to destroy her entire, mental state. But that's what he does in like that first big conversation. And like I said, like most TV shows, it always ends up being fixed by the end, where everything is found out. Cecile learns the truth. She got really close to the truth early on when she was basically had her throat slit by Caitlin, who is super awesome as Killer Frost in this episode. She's like our main antagonist. Savitar was just kind of lounging around like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. I could literally destroy everything and everyone right now because I'm faster than everybody, and I literally know the future. Like, I can just do whatever I want. Because when they were in like their little meetup, and Caitlin's like, she's saying everything that Barry's about to say, I was like, okay, well, that just, that solidifies the fact that this is a version of Barry from the future. But my theory was that it was a time remnant, but I don't know, this doesn't, unless that time remnant went into the future and then became Savitar, even from like the 2024 future, it wouldn't really work out. So I guess it's not a time remnant at all, because that was like my main guess, because in the last episode, and they even replayed the clip, but they cut it off. Barry, in that other, like the dark future, he mentioned, he was like, he killed all the time remnants, and then after that he was like, mostly, so I was like, it's going to be a time remnant then. I figured it was Barry, I just assumed it was a time remnant, but it was like, yeah, he has all the exact memories because he lived through everything. So I was like, alright, well, I don't really know what that means anymore, because that could still easily be a time remnant, but at the same time, it's hard to say, because that means, it wouldn't make sense, because the future Barry made time remnants and they were already fighting Savitar, but at the same time it is time travel, so you never have to know what the deal is, because Savitar was trapped in a distant future that technically no longer exists, I guess, but he was created. There are a million things. He'll probably be, the whole Flashpoint thing, that's probably the only reason he exists to begin with, because something happened, Barry turned evil in that future, or whatever. I don't know. We'll get the answer. It's something time-based and time travel. Who knows? But still very interesting. So my theory, I'm assuming at this point, is wrong. It would be very interesting if he was somehow still a time remnant, but he decided to become, Savitar. I don't know. And that could still be the case. Maybe, he's like a Flashpoint time remnant, because technically he should have been erased from the future version of Flashpoint or something like that. So he was within the Speed Force, and we all know how that works. If you're in the Speed Force everything can just change around you, and you're just like, yeah, I'm just sitting here, just waiting. So I don't really know what to expect. We still got some answers like why would he do that, even with it being Barry, or future Barry. Why? Why be the villain? Why suddenly turn? It's not like he lost Iris and then he went back in time to keep killing Iris. Like, what would be the point of that? You could not do it and then be a good guy. So, a million different questions. You have, I don't know, I mean, I guess the main thing is going to be Barry from the future we saw was emo. You go further in the future, he's just bad. You know, not counting this version of Barry having gone into the future, and the last time it's very confusing even talking about this. But our current Barry went into the future. He made everything kind of happy for those characters because he rebuilt the team. But say that didn't happen, then emo Barry stays emo Barry, and he permanently stays emo and becomes evil, super evil Barry. Still doesn't make a lot of sense because there's so many elements to it. Like, why? I mean, maybe he's just faster. I mean, that's the whole point of him being so fast that only speedsters can see him. So they talk about the suit and all that stuff. So really, if they can knock him out or just like rip the suit apart, he's done for. Because that's like the whole thing was like he needs the suit because he moves so freaking fast that he would basically like explode. He would wipe away from existence because he's moving way too fast. So I don't know. We'll see how they end up solving this problem and giving us some answers with like 3 effing episodes left. The next episode focusing on Barry having no memories, because the whole point was for Cisco to stop him from having new memories, and then he wipes everything from his head, so he's got nothing, which I don't think would make a difference, because he was talking about, I want to stop you from having, making new memories or whatever, and I'm like, I don't think that will really make that much of a difference. And he talks about the slight miscalculation, so instead of wiping, I don't know what the plan was, I don't know what sort of technology that would be, like wiping short-term memory constantly, I guess, or well, I guess it would be wiping long-term memory. Anything like after a couple of days would technically get erased or something. But I'm like, I don't know how that was supposed to work to begin with, because you'd have to keep erasing his memory for him to never have any memories of the past as this future version, you know, being sabotaged. So I'm like, I don't know how that's supposed to work either way. So we'll see how that plays out. But I am looking forward to getting some answers, of course. I think what they did with it was definitely cool. It's a nice reveal that, you know, it was Barry. I think everyone knew it was Barry. It's just, is it simply future Barry? Is it going to end up being like a crazy future, also time remnant version of Barry? There's a million different things. He is now, you know, a lot of memes where it's like he lived long enough to become the villain sort of stuff. So that's where he's at. People questioning like everything with the Flash. Like, well, if they're enemies, does that mean that Reverse Flash has been good the whole time? Definitely not. Just as a comic reader, Reverse Flash is not good. Period. This is not the case. Like, trust me, he's just not good in general. But very interesting to see where they headed. So I'm looking forward to what we get. I did enjoy this episode. Like I said, Kaylin Killer Frost in this episode was super awesome. That was like the coolest part about the whole thing, outside of finally getting an official answer. But she was super awesome. She was pulling off. I mean, everyone does this with ice powers, but every time I see it, I personally think of X-Men, because I think of Bobby Drake, because that's kind of how he moves around all the time in X-Men. So she's like flying around. I got like food on my chest. But she's like flying around the city, and Barry's like kind of hurting her a little bit towards Cisco. But that was a great scene. Like, she's flying around the whole city, and she's flying through billboards and stuff, getting super fancy with it, making spirals and everything to dodge Barry. But it was really cool. She was going through trying to kill people. It's constantly missing, but she was giving it her best. She was doing what she could, but ultimately Cisco knocks her out. And that's when Saboteur comes in, and I was just thinking, like, what's going on? Like, why does he even need to go this far? Considering everything that's happening, it's like, why does he need to kill Iris in this very specific point before, you know, anything? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, knowing everything is like, why does it have to be this very specific point to make him become Saboteur? It's just really weird. So I don't know what to really expect, but I would assume the answer lies somewhere in Flashpoint, because of course this was not the future beforehand, and then poof, out of nowhere we have an evil version of Barry. So he's got to be related to Flashpoint, which also makes sense because he somehow knew about Flashpoint. So there's some stuff there. There's got to be something, like maybe a future version of Barry. I don't know. It's hard to say. I won't even bother going into guesses, because I'm like, he had his powers, but he wasn't the Flash, so it wouldn't make a lot of sense for evil Barry in that Flashpoint universe to become evil Flash, because it was this version of Barry that was good. So there are a million questions. I just shouldn't even bother. I'm just gonna wait. But very curious to see what answers we get from this this reveal in these like last 3 episodes of the season. So I don't know what to really expect. I mean, we got the answer now, but it's one of those answers where it's like, okay, but why? It's just a big why question for me. So I don't know. Would love to know your theories on it, but of course I want to know what you guys think about this episode in general. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. Like I said, would love to know your theories now that we know who Savitar is. Why is he Savitar? Like, how is he related to Flashpoint? Why is he bad? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. He doesn't look that much older. Like, the makeup they did, I mean, mostly I was focused on the fact that his face was burnt up, so I didn't really pay that much attention to how much older he looked. But they also didn't really do that for the future Flash, which was like 8 years in the future, and he just looked emo, and I was like, other than that, they didn't do really any makeup that I noticed that made him look older. It was just, his hair went down, and that was literally it to me. So it seemed like he wasn't that far into the future, but I don't know. It's impossible to say. I mean, also with him being a time traveler and the fact that he was technically unleashed in this Flashpoint version where Julian opens up the box, that's what released him to begin with in the past, and that's how he was like half released, and then he was completely released because of Wally taking his place, but he was locked in there in the future. All this weird time travel stuff. So I would love to know your theories on why, how this version even exists. You know, just like, what is the point? Like, how does any of this make any sort of sense if we've seen the future version of Barry, and also, you know, we've seen this version of Barry change that future. So I would assume if there was any sort of evil thing, it wouldn't happen in the future anymore because Barry went to the future, and then he got the team back together, and the future Barry was a little less emo by the end, and he was like, you know, we can work together now, and we can work towards something greater. So it's like, what the heck? What the heck is happening? I don't know, but we'd love to know your theories, and of course I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.